And we're live. Welcome back to the First Division podcast. We've been having some technical difficulties about different platforms. I'm not used to the Anchor platform yet, where they only kind of chop every segment into 15-minute segments. I don't watch the clock, and it doesn't allow for me to have a full on conversation or a long form conversation in the podcast forum. I have to get that figured out, but I'm here back again with my main man, Drew. What's going on, man?
Nothing's trying to get this shit cracking.
Yeah, man, it's a little bit difficult. I'm trying to figure out the best platform, how to get it going. I think this platform is nice. It allows us to have a long form conversation without having to break up the conversation into segments because I don't watch the time. I'm just having a conversation.
Yeah, I understand that.
And then Anchor, it seems like it cuts us off at 15 minutes and then I don't even have a time to do an outro.
No, I know that sucks. It just doesn't let you know unless you're right on.
Yeah, all of a sudden it says like stop, the podcasting stopped, and then you send me a text message and you were like, what the heck happened, man?
Well, I thought it might have been my Bluetooth or something, but then I realized it wasn't that after.
Yeah, the app
Really,
automatically. Yeah, exactly.
it's
The app automatically stopped it.
crazy.
Yeah. And we were having a good conversation too, man.
Always.
Hey, so yeah, no, so getting back to the topics, I feel like especially when, we were talking about how parents kind of influence your decisions.
And
And I think it's good in a wet way because like family members or parents are supposed to guide you through life. But and they're supposed to support you in aspects of your life, in different aspects of your life, but they also have to like kind of take a backseat role and allow you to be like your own person.
that's a problem I think nowadays.
Yeah, I think especially.
People, when people are influenced by other people, so or other families who care about what everybody else thinks, so that everybody helps, you know.
Yeah, and especially when different families have different certain values.
Exactly, and they're not all the same. So then it's like, how are you? They're all just, yeah, dude. I don't know this stuff. I
Well,
hate
it's like,
a lot of people can't stand on their own. You know what I mean?
yeah, unfortunately, and you could see it. I could definitely see it where like people who aren't able to hold a decent conversation, those are the type of people that are usually not able to stand on their own. It's a weird phenomenon.
That's probably most people nowadays. Though maybe not most. I wonder about that'd be interesting. The difference between like people in Europe and the people here. I wonder what the difference would be.
That's a good question. I don't know. It depends. It depends on the values of the country. I would expect as well.
Well, you live in Prague, so do you see a difference?
I see a difference, but the culture is different. Like, for example, I think, like, for example, here, people's health insurance and university is free up until age 26. So a lot of people who are live with their parents up until 26, usually, you know, and then from there they kind of branch out at that age. But
Yeah.
the general society about living with like like for example in the US, usually what happens is parents like to kick their kids out and send them off to college at 18, right?
That
So
doesn't happen over there.
not really. They kind of want to keep you closer because the family is like most important. So you want to be like more close knit with your family and like more. engage with your family life. So the values are a little bit different. The society is a little bit different. So even if after you graduate university, for example, at 26, they still kind of want to keep you around. They might say like, okay, like you can branch out, but they want to keep you kind of around so that you can keep the family values as a family strong. I think when you start, I don't know. I wanted to ask you about this. Like, for example, if you get kicked out of I don't mean kicked out like, okay, we're gonna banish you from the house, but I feel like if you don't get the proper guidance and they say, okay, 18, you're an adult, go figure this stuff out on your own, figure out your own life at 18, and you go, for example, to a university across the United States in a different state, and you don't get that kind of family help. I mean, your parents will probably still help you, but I mean, you can't see your parents that often, especially if you go to a university in a different state. I feel like the family core kind of breaks down a little bit, but and you don't get that guidance, and then you're not able to fully fledged be a fully fledged adult because you're getting kind of influenced by other people who are not your family. So it's like a weird dynamic for me.
Yeah, I could kind of agree with that.
Because
Actually, I could fully agree with that.
Because I mean, if you're like really interested in going to college, like say you live in California and you want to go to college or university in Florida, you get accepted to Florida, you go to Florida, you're not able to get any kind of support from your parents. Number one, maybe financially, for sure. That maybe, right? If you're, in that situation. But if it's not like you can go to their house all the time. So you kind of like lose that, in a little bit, that kind of family kind of influence. But then it's also kind of good because then you're not kind of, constrained by your parents looking over every move you make as well. I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Oh man. Uh, there was something I was going to say. I had a really good point too.
About
keep going. I'm sorry.
No problem. About going about like especially like when you want to be your own your own adult. I think you have to be able to kind of experience life on your own, take a little bit of risk, but not too much risk that's going to kind of course,
Hinder you?
yeah, injure you, right? So if it injures you or puts any kind of physical harm in
No,
it,
hinder you.
yeah,
Like
hinders you.
hinder
Yeah,
your future.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So if you make
Not
a
injure.
decision that,
Sorry.
yeah, so sorry, I misunderstood you. Yeah, so if you like, if it hinders
Okay.
you, then you're gonna like it's gonna like set you back, right?
Right.
I think that's gonna
I
be.
think it would say, yeah, no, for sure. I think it would set you back big time, no? If you didn't think about it.
Yeah, and then you wouldn't be able to like fully grow up as a person.
But some people don't. That's what I was. It was so funny that you say that. Some people don't grow up. They just have a kid, dude. You
Yeah,
ever thought
well,
about that?
yeah, I thought about that. A lot of people are like grown up kids, kind of.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. They never grew up, but they had a kid, and then they had to kind of grow up. But I'm saying they never really grew up as for themselves. So how can their kids fully, you know?
Yeah,
Maybe that's wrong to say.
maybe. I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, maybe if you're like I mean, it's like if you're a grown up kid and you're putting yourself into adult situations. I mean, that's fine. But if you're in adult situations and you have to make an adult decision, then and you're still a kid, you wouldn't be able to make an adult decision properly, maybe.
There you go. Or maybe yeah, you wouldn't have thought of the other decision that you would have made if you were more of a proper adult.
Yeah, and that's where like parents come in because they're older than you and they have a little bit.
Experience.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. I would say they would have a little bit more experience, and when you have a little bit more experience, you have a little bit more insight into these situations.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I don't know if that makes them smarter or they have more wisdom. I would say they have just more life experience. Like if you have a flat tire for the first time, you might like not freak out, but you would be like, oh my God, this is my first flat tire. Maybe I've never changed it before, but I'm in a stressful situation. And maybe your parents were like, oh, this is a normal thing. I've done I've had a flat tire you know, like 20 times in my lifetime of owning a car. So I know how to handle this situation a little bit better. You know what I mean?
So that's exactly when they would be able to teach you,
Yeah. That's a great teaching point for parents at that point.
I would say so, right?
Yeah, for sure. And that's where
But that's what I'm saying. Not all parents know how to go about it the right way, I guess.
Well, yeah, exactly. Especially if a parent has never been in that situation before themselves as well.
Exactly. How did they don't know how to handle it? They're just trying to get here and handle it, I guess, apparently.
Yeah, so like for example, I think a lot of people who have children, and I would say like maybe this is in general, and I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong, because I am not a parent myself. But if you're a parent who's never experienced something like your parents, right? So what happens is you get put in a stressful situation, then you call your parents for support because this is the first time you've been in that situation, but you're an adult with your own child, then you kind of become the middleman, and you're not able to handle that situation on your own, kind of.
Yeah, that's true. You have a hard time making the right decisions.
Yeah, exactly. And if you have a hard time making decisions, I mean, how do you think your child is going to, grow up? Oh, it's hard.
Ooh, that'd be tough.
Yeah,
That'd be tough on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough because then because you still kind of have like your parents' values in you, and you're like, I don't want my kid to be this way or that way, but then they end up being a certain way, and it might freak you out more than it might be more surprising to you as a parent if you're not able to handle certain situations than if it's like your grandparents, for them.
Yeah, that's a good point. And especially if they don't like try to learn, or you don't try to learn and change that, or at least become a little bit more aware. Maybe that's a better word.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you're not woke.
There you go.
that term is so silly, man. Woke.
Are you woke, Steve?
I'm 50. I would say I'm 70% woke, my friend. Are you woke, Drew?
Better than most. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I just would say I'm aware.
Yeah, exactly. But Drew, I would say being aware is different than being woke.
I guess so too. I don't know. Like, what would you define woke as?
I have no idea. Everybody throws that term around like, hey, man, be woke.
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's like a woke is being like, I guess you're kind of, I wouldn't say aware because aware is different. I would say woke is like acknowledging that you're ignorant and you're trying to better yourself being ignorant or trying to be more knowledgeable about a certain situation, and that's being woke.
I guess so, right?
like I guess so.
probably define it differently in their terms.
Yeah, like for example, like saying that taxes are bad. Oh man, you're so woke because you know that taxes are bad. I don't know. I think that term is so silly.
That's funny.
But
I'm not. I don't know.
how would you define the terms between knowledge and wisdom? What would be your definition of that?
I guess knowledge is how much you know, and wisdom is like what you know.
Yeah, that's a pretty good definition. Yeah, for me, knowledge is like gaining a whole bunch of information and learning everything you can about certain topics, and wisdom is uh you already know all of that knowledge. It's the way you use that knowledge, like in a good way or a bad way. I think that's wisdom, that you are able to make like a correct decision about all the knowledge that you've gained over in any certain subject, you know.
Being knowledgeable, you're knowledgeable with wisdom.
Yeah, exactly. So like wisdom, you have like the ability to look at all the knowledge you've gained, and you can make a good decision based on that for doing something good. Like you know, so you've gained like a whole bunch of information on uh I don't know how to make let's say you know how to make explosives, right? But then the wisdom comes in saying like, oh, I know explosives can kill people, so let's like use explosives to make fireworks rather than to make like uh nuclear bombs, for
Bombs.
example. That might be a bad example, but you know what I mean.
No, I mean, well, it's just true. You can use one for the positive or one for the negative.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's how I define wisdom, that you've taken all the knowledge in and then you know how to make like morally correct decisions based on all that information that you've gained.
Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate, I would say.
And it's hard to gain wisdom.
Probably just years of experience, right? As well as knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. And gaining knowledge is, I mean, I look at it differently. Like if you like Google stuff and things like that, you're gaining information. That's true. But I don't know if that's exactly gaining knowledge, though. I think knowledge is like learning specific things about a subject.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, well, yeah, it has to be the right knowledge. You can't just learn about shit, but it's fucking, you know.
Well, like for example, what was that? Oh my god, I forgot about it. I'm sorry, man. What was that? That mm, that technique you showed me, that where you with the tapping, where you tap your forehead, you tap your
Yeah,
chin.
EFT.
Yeah, EFT, right? So see, that's exactly it. That's a good point. EFT. That's the information that you gave me, right? And when I researched about it, I gained more knowledge about the subject, right? But I am not wise in that subject. I don't have any wisdom of how to really correctly use it. So I'm informed, I am knowledgeable a little bit about it, but I'm not woke, about it.
Yeah. That's perfectly said. That would make sense. Because someone that was I guess had wisdom about it, had been doing it for a long time, and knew how to use it
Yeah,
and when
exactly.
to
And they
use it.
found
I
out,
guess
yeah, exactly. They found out a great way how to use it.
that's cool. That's cool. Stuff works.
Yeah, have you been using it for a lot? Have you been using it lately, or?
No, I haven't used it since, dude. I totally forgot. I thought about it the other day. That's funny that you said that. I need to start doing it again because I did feel a lot better. I won't lie. I did feel a lot better when I was doing it. I felt a
Yeah,
lot better.
do you think it's about
And it was
like
weird.
positive?
Oh,
No, do you think it has to do with positive reinforcement?
Yeah, that and probably just the certain areas that you tap, like they do for acupuncture. So it's like, it's weird how it works. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm telling
are
you,
you really
what?
are you tapping when you're doing the tapping, those areas, are those normal areas where they do acupuncture?
I don't know of them. I don't know about all of them,
Because that's
but I know
interesting,
some
man.
places are. I just know that that's what they said,
And then it's
or
cool that
I
you
read it.
that those because you're turning a negative into self-love, kind of, which is kind of great.
That's probably what it is. You think too, like you said, the positive reinforcement yourself. I would say.
Yeah, because it seems like when I was reading it, when like whatever problem you have, it's like what I think what I think helps is like you're identifying the problem, right? You're saying like, okay, so you're admitting you have a problem, and you're accepting yourself that you have that problem, but you're willing to change it. And I think that's kind of like powerful with that ETF. I think it's really powerful.
For sure, yeah, like goes back to what you said, reinforcement of positivity.
Yeah, exactly. So you're taking that like negative aspect and turning it into not positive, but you're not thinking in a negative way. I think that's great. I think that's kind of cool.
I wonder how many. Well, there's lots of studies on it, and they said a lot that helped a lot of people, and even people with traumatic experiences. So that's. I should look more into depth on that, see what else they say about it.
Yeah, it would be interesting.
But
It'd be interesting to read more into things like that.
I have a whole like 50 pages or something on it for no, I think it's like 20, but no, I think it's the guy sent me for the EFT. Talks all about it. It has like these studies of people.
I remember you sent me the PDF.
Yeah, that has some stuff in there that's super interesting.
Yeah, I read some of the I read the PDF and I said, "Wow." Especially when they had the testimonials and they said what kind of problems that they had. It like
I think some of them
one
were like PTSD.
Yeah, exactly. And then he started using or she started using ETF, and then finally it was like that memory got wiped out of her kind of thought process.
That's very interesting. So,
Yeah,
it's almost like the negativity wiper clean detoxer.
yeah, it's kind of cool the way that it like
You didn't try it?
detox
You
you
didn't
up.
never tried it?
I tried it, and
Did
I
you
don't know
do
if
it
I
right?
did it right. I don't know if I did it right because I tried it like for 3 days because I was like I started tapping my forehead. I did the part between your lips and your nose, then the chin, then the two parts on your uh, collarbone, and then I did the wrist. And then I started, and then I repeated uh, uh, the phrase, like, you know, yeah, like I
Did
love
you sing
myself.
the song, the happy song too?
No, I didn't sing the happy song. I just said that I love myself even though I have this problem, you know.
Yeah. Oh, so
And
you didn't do the other part.
there's more.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You have to do the whole thing. There's a part where like it's like a
Really?
yeah, it takes like 20 minutes to go through the whole thing. Yeah, read through it. Because I screenshotted all the parts that you're supposed to do after I read through it, and then it's more than
Ah,
just that. You have to like hum to yourself like a happy song for 2 seconds while you're tapping in a certain area, and then you do it again. and then you process the whole thing again, and then that's it or something like that. That's what it is.
I see. So I didn't do the whole process then. But even though I didn't do the whole process, I still felt like see, I didn't know what to feel like. I didn't know if there was some kind of pressure that was supposed to release, or because it was like a process, and then I got so used to the process that uh, every time I did it, I did it with the same problem. Like, I don't know, I leave my socks out on the floor, for example, and then
Well,
I
what
kept
happened though? Like, did you felt something though? You felt
I
better, or what happened?
what happened to me was like I didn't, like, honestly, it didn't last long, so I don't know how long you're supposed to do it, but they say like you do it. I know I read that they said like you can do it once and then you forget about it forever, but that didn't happen to me. What I felt was like I felt like when I was doing it that I was doing a certain process, so I was getting used to the process, and because I was doing it, my thoughts went away from uh, the socks, for example, the problem.
You didn't have a
But
problem, you mean?
yeah, yeah, so like my I felt like lighter, for example.
Oh, like it didn't
But
weigh
that
on you. The problem didn't weigh on you.
yeah, no. So I don't know. But and then I also did it in the shower, which I don't know if that's the correct place to do it. I also did it in the shower.
Huh? I don't know. Maybe that's the thing. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
so
think I ever heard anything about that.
yeah, so I didn't know when to do it. So I did it in the shower, and I did it I did it I didn't do it like as a joke, you know. I did it in the shower. I did it like naked. I did it on the couch. I did it while I was like watching Arsenal, you know. I did it at all different times. So I don't know if I was distracted or not, but I felt like when I did it like I was getting into like a routine, you know, like
Yeah, no, I you felt better overall for sure.
yeah, exactly. I felt like it like this I felt like something that was bothering me got out of my chest, off of my chest like in a positive way, even though it was maybe a negative thing.
So then it was helping you.
Yeah, I feel like it helps you,
Yes.
but I'm not so sure that it helped me like forget about it, because I read
Maybe
it
because
when
you
it was
didn't do it enough,
yeah, and I
or what?
didn't
What
do
happened?
the whole
Routine.
process either. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, that's a good point. The whole routine, but I definitely feel like it can help.
You should try doing it again.
Yeah, dude, that's a good point. I haven't thought about that in a while. I should get back into it. To be honest, I still have that
Maybe
PDF to
actually,
save.
now that you said that, no, I'm gonna do it again too.
Yeah, because I mean that's great. If you can do something for yourself, like self love in that way that doesn't harm you or anything like that, and it's just tapping you. I mean, and a
You're working
relief.
on yourself overall, I think,
Yeah, exactly, and it relieves your stress. And if anything, it relieves your stress. It's a good stress reliever.
for sure. I agree with that.
So, I mean, if you don't really,
Yeah,
for those who are skeptical, I mean, at least it will at least relieve your stress because you're working on yourself.
for a lot of people don't do.
No, definitely not, man. which is which is sad, to be honest.
I know, but it is what it is.
Yeah, people
Just
are
try to
people, and
help.
people.
Just try to help people.
Yeah, exactly. What's that famous quote though? Like the first thing you have to do is admit that you have a problem. And once you admit to yourself that you have a problem, you're able to then you can branch out for help. But you have to you can't because if you don't identify the problem with yourself, you're living in like delusion. You're living a delusional life. You know what I mean? If you're not able to admit to yourself that you have a problem, you're living in delusion.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people can't do that. Choose not to. And then also some people probably don't realize it either, you know? So that's another thing. The hard part
That's a good.
wanting
That's a
to
good
change,
point.
I guess.
That's a good point.
So I don't
Have you
know.
seen that? Have you seen that movie Good Will Hunting with Matt Damon?
Yeah, but it's been a long time. I don't really remember too much of it.
Yeah, well, that's what it basically great that what you're talking about, because he's a guy who's like he's a genius, right? But he's too, which he doesn't realize. He doesn't realize that he's too scared to move on with his life, to make his life better for himself. And what it took was he went to two different types of therapists, and they didn't really help him. But it was the last scene of that movie in Good Will Hunting where his best friend kind of said like, "Hey man, what you're doing right now is bullshit, and you got to get your life back, back on track." And then it showed at the very end, the very last scene, that he went to go to California to improve his life. So he went to professionals until it took his best friend to kind of look at his life and tell him what's up.
I know, huh? And sometimes it takes that, I guess. But some people won't even listen to that.
Yeah, exactly.
But then maybe those are the people that have problems later on in life. Don't do too well for themselves or something. I don't know.
And it depends on the people.
It really does.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've been on for?
We've been on for 32 minutes, man. Are you ready to wrap this up for tonight?
So.
Yeah, I gotta get going too as well. So.
But let's make sure that the next time we do, we have like an hour. Then that way we can go full through. That's not your fault. Yeah. We just didn't know.
Yeah, for sure. So I have to see. I just before you go, I posted on Facebook how to set it up, and I got a response. And he said Anchor is set up that way. I would record on another program like Audacity, then upload it to Anchor. So I will check that out. So
look into that. When do you want to do the next one? Wednesday, or you want to do tomorrow, or when can you?
We can do tomorrow. Are you free tomorrow?
Yeah, let's do tomorrow. Then because I'd be excited to try the new one out, but do it like you said.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll figure out how to get Audacity going, how to record on Audacity. I've never heard of it, so I'll have to do some research on it, and then let's try it out tomorrow because it's the weekend, so we're both free, and then we'll see how it goes.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Yeah, sounds good, because he says record it on Audacity, then upload it to Anchor. So that's a good. That's a good strategy.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, man. So you ready to wrap this up?
Tomorrow.
All right, man. So this has been another episode of the First Division podcast. Again, joined by my guest Drew, and we'll catch you back on tomorrow, hopefully, with the new platform, and hopefully we can have a straightforward conversation without getting cut off. Thanks once again for joining me, Drew. Thanks for coming on, man.
Of course. Talk to you tomorrow, man. Have a good day.
Yeah, talk to you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. You too. All right, bye.
And bye. And we're out.